Dr. Krill, the renowned Vey surgeon, hovered anxiously outside the intensive care unit of the Intergalactic Transit Center. His four-eyed gaze scanned the bustling hallway, taking in the sights and sounds of the busy medical facility. The faint buzzing of his lateral antennae betrayed his unease as he waited for the summons that had brought him here. Moments later, the doors hissed open, and a medical assistant scurried out, beckoning Krill to follow. "The director wants to see you immediately, Dr. Krill," the assistant said, their words laced with a sense of urgency. Krill suppressed a sigh and followed the assistant through the winding corridors, his thoughts racing. Had he done something wrong? Was his performance being questioned? As the preeminent trauma surgeon in the known universe, Krill was not accustomed to being summoned in such a manner. Arriving at the director's office, Krill took a moment to steel himself before stepping inside. The Gid director paced the room, his forearms gesticulating wildly as he spoke. "Dr. Krill, I'm glad you could join us," the director said, his voice tinged with a hint of frustration. "We have an urgent situation that requires your expertise." Krill straightened his posture, his antennae perking up with interest. "How may I be of service?" The director paused, turning to face Krill with a serious expression. "We've encountered a unique patient. Normally, I would not bother you with such a matter, but the circumstances are unusual, to say the least." Krill's curiosity was piqued. "Unusual, you say? Please, tell me more." The director led Krill to the intensive care unit, where a figure lay motionless on the bed, a tangle of tubes and wires snaking from his battered body. Krill's four eyes widened as he recognized the species, a human, the first he had ever seen in person. "This is Captain Adam Ver of the UNS Harbinger," the director said, his voice hushed. "He was found in critical condition, impaled by a large metal object. Our medical staff has done what they can, but—" The director trailed off, his expression grave. Krill stepped closer to the bed, his gaze fixed on the human's face. The creature's skin was pale, and a thick bandage covered the right side of his head, obscuring what Krill could only assume was a devastating injury. Intrigued, the Vey surgeon began to examine the patient, his nimble fingers gently probing the wound. "Fascinating," Krill murmured, his mind racing with possibilities. "I must admit, I've never encountered a human before. Their biology is quite unique." The director cleared his throat, drawing Krill's attention. "That's why we've called you here, Doctor. We need your expertise to save this human's life. Can you help him?" Krill paused, considering the challenge before him. His medical knowledge was extensive, and he had never encountered a case he could not resolve. But the human, this was uncharted territory. "I will do my utmost to ensure the captain's survival," Krill said, his voice resolute. "However, I must stress that my understanding of human anatomy and physiology is limited. I will need to proceed with the utmost care and caution." The director nodded, his expression relieved. "That's all we can ask, Doctor. The human's survival is of the utmost importance. The Intergalactic Council has a vested interest in maintaining good relations with this species." Krill narrowed his eyes, his four cortical hemispheres already hard at work, formulating a plan of action. "Very well. I shall begin my examination immediately." As the director left, Krill turned his full attention to the human, his curiosity piqued. What secrets did this creature hold? What could he learn from studying this unique patient? Krill's fingers deftly removed the bandage, revealing the true extent of the injury. The metal object had penetrated the human's skull, narrowly missing the vital cortical structures. Krill's eyes widened as he studied the damage, his mind racing with possibilities. "Remarkable," he murmured, his four eyes scrutinizing the wound. How could this creature still be alive? Krill lost himself in the intricacies of the human's biology, his initial trepidation giving way to a sense of wonder and excitement. This was a challenge unlike any he had faced before, and the Vey surgeon couldn't wait to unravel the mysteries of the human's resilience. As he prepared for the delicate surgery, Krill's antennae buzzed with anticipation. He would save this human's life, no matter the cost. And in doing so, he might just uncover the secrets to the species' remarkable survival. With a deep breath, Krill set to work, determined to unlock the hidden potential of this extraordinary patient. The successful surgery on Captain Vere had earned Dr. Krill the respect and admiration of the Intergalactic Transit Center's medical staff. Their initial skepticism had quickly given way to awe as they witnessed the VA surgeon's skill and precision in repairing the human's devastating injury. However, Krill's triumph was short-lived, as he soon found himself facing a new challenge: integrating into the human crew of the UNS Harbinger. Captain Vere, his eye patch now a permanent fixture, had personally requested Krill's transfer to the ship, eager to have the preeminent trauma surgeon on his team. Krill, intrigued by the prospect of studying human biology and physiology in depth, had reluctantly agreed, despite his initial reservations. As Krill stepped onto the Harbinger's bridge, he was immediately struck by the organized chaos that seemed to permeate every corner of the vessel. Humans darted to and fro, each engrossed in their own tasks, yet somehow managing to avoid colliding with one another. Krill found the sight both captivating and overwhelming. Captain Vere, ever the gracious host, ushered Krill deeper into the ship, offering a whirlwind tour and introducing him to the crew. Krill struggled to keep up, his four eyes darting from one face to the next, his antennae buzzing with the influx of new information. "And this," the captain said, gesturing to a stern-faced woman in the medical bay, "is our resident physician assistant, Rita. She'll be your right-hand woman while you're on board." Rita stepped forward, her brown eyes scrutinizing Krill with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "Welcome aboard, Doctor. I've heard a lot about you." Krill inclined his head, his four eyes meeting her gaze. "The pleasure is mine, Lieutenant. I look forward to working with you." Rita's lips twitched in what Krill could only assume was a human expression of amusement. "We'll see about that," she murmured, before turning her attention to the array of medical equipment lining the walls. Krill watched her, his antennae twitching with a newfound sense of unease. It was clear that the human crew would not be as easily won over as the medical staff at the Intergalactic Transit Center. These were seasoned individuals, hardened by their experiences, and Krill would need to tread carefully if he hoped to earn their trust and respect. As the tour progressed, Krill found himself constantly stumbling over human customs and social cues. The captain's strange sense of humor, the crew's casual banter, and the occasional cryptic comment left the VA surgeon feeling increasingly out of his depth. One particularly awkward moment occurred when the captain mentioned marshmallows and neutron stars in the same sentence, prompting a chorus of laughter from the assembled crew. Krill, his four eyes blinking in confusion, could only stare blankly, desperately wishing he could understand the joke. Later, during a private conversation with Rita, Krill attempted to broach the subject of human humor, only to be met with a withering look. "You're telling me your species doesn't understand irony or sarcasm?" Rita asked, her voice dripping with disbelief. Krill shook his head, his antennae drooping slightly. "I'm afraid not. Our communication is based on logic and direct expression. The concept of saying one thing while meaning another is foreign to us." Rita sighed, running a hand through her dark hair. "Well, that explains a lot. You're going to have to work on that if you want to fit in around here, Doc." Krill nodded, his expression solemn. "I understand. This is all rather new to me, but I am eager to learn. Surely, with your guidance, I can become more adept at navigating human social customs." Rita's lips quirked in a ghost of a smile. "We'll see about that. In the meantime, let's focus on the important stuff, like making sure you don't accidentally kill anyone with your fancy alien medical techniques." As the days passed, Krill found himself constantly challenged, both professionally and socially. The human crew's approach to medicine was, in his estimation, woefully primitive, with outdated equipment and substandard sterilization procedures. Krill had to bite his tongue on more than one occasion to prevent himself from openly criticizing their methods. Meanwhile, he struggled to decipher the nuances of human behavior, often finding himself the unwitting target of the crew's good-natured ribbing. His attempts at humor were met with either puzzled silence or raucous laughter, and he found himself constantly on the defensive, unsure of when he had crossed an invisible line. Through it all, Captain Vere remained a steadfast ally, often stepping in to diffuse tense situations and gently guide Krill towards a better understanding of his new crewmates. The captain's unwavering patience and genuine curiosity about the Vaysurgeon's abilities and culture helped to slowly bridge the gap between Krill and the rest of the crew. As Krill tended to the medical needs of the Harbinger's crew, he began to appreciate the resourcefulness and resilience of these humans. Their bodies, while seemingly fragile, had an uncanny ability to withstand and recover from even the most grievous of injuries. Krill found himself fascinated, his initial trepidation giving way to a growing sense of respect and wonder. Perhaps, he mused, there was more to these creatures than he had initially assumed. With a renewed determination, Krill set out to unravel the mysteries of human biology, hoping that in doing so, he might also find a way to truly connect with his new crewmates. The Harbinger's launch from the Intergalactic Transit Center was a spectacle that left Krill both awestruck and terrified. As the massive ship's engines roared to life, the Vaysurgeon clung to the nearest support, his four eyes wide with a mixture of fascination and sheer terror. The deafening cacophony of sound, the violent shaking of the deck, and the overwhelming sense of acceleration left Krill momentarily disoriented. It was only the steady presence of Captain Vere, braced and unflinching, that anchored the Vaysurgeon to reality. As the Harbinger breached the planet's atmosphere and soared into the inky blackness of space, Krill found himself torn between the urge to cower and the desire to witness the spectacle unfolding before him. The sight of the distant stars, the curvature of the planet below, and the looming presence of the gas giant that dominated the sky left him in a state of awestruck wonder. "Welcome to the void, Doctor," Captain Vere said, a wry smile playing on his lips. "This is where the real adventure begins." Krill could only nod, his antennae twitching with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The human captain's words rang true. This was uncharted territory for the Vaysurgeon, both literally and figuratively. As the Harbinger made its way through the debris field that dotted the space surrounding the planet, Krill found himself once again in awe of human ingenuity and resourcefulness. The crew's seamless navigation of the hazardous environment, their rapid identification and avoidance of potential obstacles, and their unwavering focus left the Vaysurgeon deeply impressed. It was during this journey that Krill's medical skills were truly put to the test. The crew, hardened by years of service and the rigors of deep space exploration, were not immune to injury and illness. Krill found himself tending to a variety of ailments, from minor lacerations to more serious internal maladies. Despite his initial unfamiliarity with human physiology, Krill's vast medical knowledge and his keen observational skills allowed him to adapt quickly. He studied the crew's reactions, their pain responses, and the ways in which their bodies reacted to various treatments. Slowly but surely, the Vaysurgeon began to build a comprehensive understanding of the human form, its strengths, and its vulnerabilities. Krill's growing rapport with the crew was further bolstered by his willingness to learn and his genuine interest in their lives and experiences. He found himself engaging in animated discussions with the ship's navigator, exchanging stories of his home planet, and even attempting, with limited success, to participate in the crew's casual banter and peculiar sense of humor. As the Harbinger drew closer to its destination, the mood on board grew more somber. The mission, initially cloaked in a veil of mystery, was now coming into sharper focus. The search for the 41 missing human personnel. Krill could sense the crew's determination, but also their underlying concern and apprehension. They knew all too well the dangers that lurked in the vast expanse of space, and the fate of their missing comrades weighed heavily on their minds. When the Harbinger finally reached the coordinates provided by the Intergalactic Council, Krill found himself standing on the bridge, his four eyes scanning the desolate landscape of the planet below. It was a harsh, inhospitable world, its surface marred by the scars of ancient volcanic activity and lashed by relentless winds. As the away team prepared to descend to the planet's surface, Krill insisted on accompanying them, his medical expertise and his growing understanding of human biology making him an invaluable asset. The journey to the planet's surface was harrowing, with the crew battling against the planet's hostile environment and the constant threat of unseen dangers. Krill, his antennae twitching with heightened awareness, kept a vigilant watch, his four eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of trouble. Once on the ground, the search party fanned out, scouring the rugged terrain for any clues or signs of the missing personnel. Krill remained close to the crew, his medical kit at the ready, his mind racing with the possibilities of what they might find. As the hours passed, and the search yielded little, the crew's spirits began to flag. Krill, sensing their growing despair, did his best to offer words of encouragement and reassurance, drawing upon his newfound understanding of human psychology and the importance of morale in the face of adversity. It was in the final hours of the search, just as the team was preparing to return to the Harbinger, that they made a grim discovery: the remains of several human bodies, their skin and clothing seared by what appeared to be intense heat. Krill, his four eyes narrowed in concentration, carefully examined the bodies, his medical expertise providing crucial insights into the nature of their injuries and the possible cause of their demise. As the crew gathered around, their faces etched with a mixture of grief and determination, Krill knew that this was a pivotal moment. The fate of the missing personnel had been uncovered, and the Vey surgeon's role in the mission had taken on a new and far more significant meaning. With a deep breath, Krill turned to the crew, his antennae held high. "We must continue our search," he said, his voice resolute. "There may yet be survivors, and I will do whatever it takes to ensure their safe return." The crew responded with a chorus of affirmation, their resolve renewed. Together, they would unravel the mystery that had brought them to this desolate world, no matter the cost. The discovery of the human remains on the barren planet's surface cast a somber pall over the Harbinger's crew. Krill could sense the growing unease and determination among his crewmates as they regrouped and prepared to continue their search. Krill, his four eyes narrowed in concentration, carefully examined the bodies, drawing upon his vast medical knowledge to glean every possible clue from the grim scene. The injuries were unlike anything he had ever encountered, the skin and tissues seared and charred as if by intense heat. "This is no ordinary accident," Krill murmured, his antennae twitching with a mixture of concern and scientific curiosity. "Something or someone caused these deaths." Captain Vere, his single eye hardened with resolve, nodded grimly. "Then we need to find out what happened here and who's responsible. These were good people, and they deserve justice." The search party set out once more, their footsteps crunching across the alien landscape as they scanned the horizon for any sign of the missing personnel. Krill, his medical kit slung over his shoulder, kept a watchful eye on the crew, ready to provide aid at a moment's notice. As they pushed deeper into the planet's interior, the environment grew increasingly hostile. Towering rock formations cast long shadows, obscuring the sky and bathing the terrain in an eerie reddish hue. The wind howled, whipping up clouds of fine, blue sand that stung Krill's eyes and clogged his breathing vents. Suddenly, a shout rang out, and the crew turned to see one of their own. A young Marine named Jason, stumbling back, his face contorted in pain. Krill rushed to his side, his four eyes quickly assessing the damage. "The sand," Jason gasped, his skin reddened and blistered. It's burning me." Krill's eyes widened in alarm as he recognized the signs of severe chemical burns. "This planet's surface is toxic," he announced, his voice grave. "We must take shelter immediately, or we risk serious injury or even death." The crew wasted no time, following Krill's lead as he guided them towards a series of domed structures in the distance. As they approached, Krill's antennae detected faint traces of activity. a sign that the buildings were not entirely abandoned. Cautiously, the search party entered the nearest structure, finding it to be a primitive but functional shelter. Krill immediately set to work, tending to Chasen's burns and ensuring the rest of the crew were unharmed. It was then that they heard a faint rustling from the shadows, followed by the cautious emergence of a strange bipedal creature. Krill's 4 eyes widened in recognition. This was a Drev, a species he had only read about in the Intergalactic Council's archives. The Drev approached, its movements cautious and wary, and Krill stepped forward, his hands raised in a gesture of peace. "We mean you no harm," he said, his voice low and soothing. "We are searching for our missing crew members. Can you help us?" The Drev regarded Krill with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion, its large golden eyes narrowing. After a moment, it spoke, its voice a deep guttural rumble. "You are not from this world. What brings you here, strangers?" Krill glanced at the crew, then back to the Drev. "We are searching for our lost comrades who were taken from us. Have you seen them?" The Drev's eyes flickered with a hint of recognition, and it turned, beckoning the search party to follow. Krill looked to Captain Ver, who nodded, and the crew followed the Drev deeper into the dome structure. What they found there shook them to the core. Huddled in the dimly lit halls were the missing human personnel, their faces gaunt and their bodies bearing the scars of captivity and abuse. Krill rushed to their aid, his 4 eyes filled with a mixture of horror and determination. As he tended to their wounds, the Drev explained the grim truth. The humans had been taken by a ruthless group of Tusroki slavers who saw them as valuable commodities to be sold on the black market. The Drev, themselves victims of the Tusroki's predatory practices, had taken them in, offering what meager shelter and sustenance they could. Krill's antennae trembled with a mixture of rage and sorrow as he listened to the Drev's account. The Vaysurgin had heard of the intergalactic slave trade, but to witness its consequences firsthand was a gut-wrenching experience. With renewed purpose, the Harbinger's crew sprang into action, rallying to rescue their missing comrades and put an end to the Tusroki's nefarious operations. Krill, his medical expertise now bolstered by a deep understanding of human resilience and the horrors they had endured, worked tirelessly to stabilize the survivors and prepare them for the perilous journey back to the ship. As the rescue mission unfolded, Krill found himself deeply shaken by the experience. The cruelty and disregard for life that he had witnessed on this desolate planet challenged his fundamental beliefs about the nature of sentient beings. He had always seen the Vay as the pinnacle of moral and intellectual advancement, but now he found himself questioning those assumptions. In the heat of battle, as the Harbinger's crew confronted the Tusroki slavers, Krill fought alongside his human companions, his 4 eyes blazing with a newfound determination. He had come to this mission as an observer, a curious outsider seeking to expand his knowledge. But now he was a member of this crew, bound by a common purpose and a shared sense of outrage at the injustices they had uncovered. As the dust settled and the rescued humans were safely aboard the Harbinger, Krill stood on the bridge, his antennae held high. He had seen the depths of cruelty that the universe could hold, but he had also witnessed the resilience and bravery of the human spirit, and in that realization, he knew that his journey had only just begun. Krill stood quietly on the Harbinger's bridge, his 4 eyes fixed upon the distant stars. The rescue mission had been a harrowing experience, one that had shaken the Vaysurgin to his core. The horrors he had witnessed on a hostile planet had challenged his preconceptions and forced him to confront the harsh realities of the galaxy beyond his own homeworld. As the ship surged through the inky blackness of space, Krill's thoughts drifted to the rescued human crew members, their faces etched with the scars of their ordeal. He had worked tirelessly, utilizing every ounce of his medical expertise to tend to their wounds and restore them to health. And in doing so, he had gained a newfound respect and understanding for the resilience of the human spirit. The captain approached, his single eye regarding Krill with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "You've been awfully quiet, Doctor," he said, his voice low. "Everything all right?" Krill turned to face the human, his antennae twitching slightly. "I am processing, Captain. The events on that planet have left me with much to consider." Ver nodded, his expression somber. "I can only imagine. What you witnessed, it's not something anyone should have to see." He paused, his gaze drifting towards the view screen. "But you know, the humans are made of sterner stuff than you might think." Krill's 4 eyes widened slightly. "Indeed, I must admit, I am impressed by their resilience. Their ability to withstand such trauma and yet maintain their resolve is remarkable." The captain chuckled, a wry smile playing on his lips. "That's one way to put it. Humans are a hardy bunch, Doc. We've had to be, just to survive this vast and unforgiving universe." He turned to face Krill, his expression earnest. "And you played a big part in that, you know. Without your medical expertise, we might not have been able to save them." Krill felt a surge of pride, his antennae lifting slightly. "I was simply doing my duty, Captain. But I must confess, I have gained a newfound respect for your species. The horrors you have endured, the challenges you have overcome, it is humbling." Ver nodded, his expression thoughtful. "We've had our fair share of trials, that's for sure. But we're not just survivors, Doc. We're fighters. We may not have the technological prowess of the Vey or the strategic cunning of the Tussaroki, but we make up for it with sheer determination and ingenuity." Krill found himself considering the captain's words, his 4 eyes narrowing in contemplation. "I can see that now. Your species' ability to adapt, to innovate, to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. It is truly remarkable." The captain grinned, clapping a hand on Krill's shoulder. "Glad you're finally seeing the light, Doc. Humans may be a little rough around the edges, but we've got a lot to offer the galaxy. And with your help, we're going to do some amazing things." Krill felt a spark of excitement ignite within him. The prospect of collaborating with these resilient, innovative humans was tantalizing, and he found himself eager to dive deeper into the mysteries of their biology and culture. "Captain, if I may," Krill began, his antennae twitching with renewed energy, "I would like to formally request that my position on this ship be made permanent. I believe I have much to learn from your crew, and I believe I can offer valuable insights and assistance in return." Ver's single eye widened in surprise, then softened into a warm smile. "You know, Doc, I was hoping you'd say that. We could use a brilliant mind like yours on this crew, and it's clear you've got a knack for keeping us in one piece." Krill inclined his head, his 4 eyes gleaming with determination. "Then it is settled. I shall remain with the Harbinger, and together we shall unravel the secrets of the galaxy." As the ship surged forward, Krill found himself brimming with a sense of purpose and excitement. His initial trepidation and skepticism had given way to a deep fascination and respect for the human species. They were not the simple-minded, primitive creatures he had once believed them to be, but a complex, resilient, and innovative people, a people with whom he was eager to collaborate and learn. In the days and weeks that followed, Krill immersed himself in the study of human biology and physiology, his 4 cortical hemispheres working in perfect harmony as he delved deeper into the mysteries of the human form. He marveled at their adaptability, their capacity for healing, and their ability to overcome even the most daunting of challenges. And as he worked alongside the Harbinger's crew, Krill found himself shedding his own preconceptions and biases. He came to appreciate the humans' unique brand of humor, their unwavering loyalty, and their boundless curiosity. Traits that he had once found confusing and off-putting, but now recognized as invaluable assets. Krill knew that his journey with the Harbinger was only just beginning, but he was filled with a sense of anticipation and excitement. The galaxy held countless secrets, and with the humans as his partners, he was confident that he would uncover them all, pushing the boundaries of medical science and forging new paths of discovery. As the ship hurtled through the void, Krill's antennae hummed with a newfound sense of purpose. He was no longer just a Vey surgeon. He was a member of the Harbinger's crew, a collaborator in the pursuit of knowledge and understanding. And with each passing day, he knew that his perspective on the human species and on the galaxy itself would continue to evolve and expand.